Hey guys, the purpose of this video is to show you how to install a Lynx frame stiffener. As we all know, the stock frame of the 300X is pretty flexible, and with high head speed, it tends to flex, and sometimes it causes the breakage of the main shaft here. In addition, it also alleviates some of the vibration during flights also. The kit comes with the frame stiffener itself, 8 pins or 8 pegs, a spacer. You have 8 of the 1.6 millimeter by 12 millimeter. You have also 8 1.6 millimeter Phillips head screws, and also one 2 millimeter by 12 millimeter to be used with the spacer here. Now, from Helific forums, some people were saying that the 12 millimeter screw is not long enough, and I want to show you that it's indeed long enough to be screwed onto the pins here. Now, for the purpose of demonstration, I am using a brand new frame for the 300X here. So basically, what you're going to do is you have a frame like this, and what you need to do is to remove these 2 servo screws out and just lift the servo off from the frame, which will expose 2 additional screws under here, and you will be removing 8 screws total: 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Okay, and the frame stiffener will be sitting on the other side, on the right side of the frame, like this. Okay, now I want to show you that the screw is indeed long enough to be screwed onto the pins. Now, the deepest area that people are having a problem with is these 2 here. Okay, and when the screw is being inserted, you have at least about turn around here. You have about 8 millimeter of protrusion of the screw into the other side. Okay, now one of the members from Helific forum had mentioned that perhaps we should the pins are not being pushed in enough because of the molding from the plastic, and so he was suggesting to use some type of grease which is plastic safe, and one of the grease that's plastic safe is dielectric tune-up grease here that you can purchase from any auto shop store or even hardware store. And what I suggest for you to do is basically just get a small amount of the grease, and the purpose of the grease will serve 2 things. One is the ease of insertion of these pins into these holes. The second thing is also ease of removing the pins in case you need to to replace the frame. So these pegs will be inserted into this side of the frame. So it's going to go in here. Okay. And I would suggest for you to get a Phillips driver that is about the size of the pin here. It has a bigger diameter than the hole here, and just use it to push it in all the way. Okay. And let me see here. And it seems like it's sit pretty flush here. And you do the same for all the pins here. Okay, I've inserted all of the pins into the frame. I use some of the dielectric grease here and apply it around the pins here, and basically just push it in with the Phillips screwdriver wherever it needs to be pushed in. These don't really need to be pushed in because they kind of extrude out. So for the purpose of demonstration, I just want to show you that the screws here are indeed long enough so basically these screws will hold these pins to the frame, and also to hold the frames together. And it uses a 1.5 millimeter driver. Now, as you notice, I am not putting on any blue Loctite because I'm just doing a demonstration, but I really highly recommend putting a little bit of blue Loctite to the screw here before you inserting it in, because it's metal to metal, and so you want to secure it with Loctite. Now I think that some people were complaining that the screws are not long enough. I think it's in these two areas, and perhaps these two also. Okay, but I think mainly from here. The reason I think that they're not getting the screws in is because, for one, they're not pushing the pins in enough, and I just want to show you that it is indeed long enough. And I just also demonstrated that it's approximately about 8 millimeter there. That's a lot of turns. Okay, you don't need to tighten it too much, because the Loctite will do its work. Okay, for the sake of time, I'm going to go ahead and install these screws here, and I'll be right back. Okay, I have just installed the 8 12mm hex screws into the frame, and they're located here 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And now it's time to install the frame stiffener. It's going to go like this, and you need to remember to install the screw for the belt guide along with the spacer. Like so. And for the purpose of demonstration, I'm just going to put it here, and you would need to screw it in with a 1.5mm driver. And we're going to install the 8 Phillips screws into the 8 pins, just like so. But remember to add a little dab of Loctite before you screw it in. But for the purpose of demonstration, I'm not going to do that. Okay. There's another option if you wanted to use hex screw, and I happen to have some of the 1.5mm by 4mm hex screws also, and I find it to be simple to use because I would be using just one tool instead of the Phillips screwdriver, and it works just fine also. So that's basically about it. Just continue to screw in the other screws, and you'll be done. Happy flying.